Everybody in this room is a dreamer, right? Yeah. When we were young, much younger, what did we dream about being? We dreamed about being like the prime minister of this country. We dreamed about reaching the stars by being an astronaut. Heck, we even dreamed about being princes and princesses, right? But as we kept growing up, reality started kicking in. Our dreams that we used to have when we were younger, they seemed to be, out of our reach. And our dreams started becoming smaller. And society has a way of killing our dream in a way, right? Putting down our dream. It's like you cannot be this. How do you think you can achieve this? And that makes us think that is it really worth chasing after our dream? So we let go of our dream and chase after ordinary goals and ambitions. I, being the stubborn person that I am, decided to keep on chasing my dream that I dreamt of from a young age. And my dream, I actually had two dreams. My first dream was to be a hero that helps people. So as you can see on the back, this is the superhero that I wanted to be. Does anybody know who this superhero is? Exactly, and what does he do? He saves the environment, right? So from a young age, I actually wanted to be an environmentalist. And also the other dream that I had, I actually wanted to be an Olympic athlete. For one reason. At the opening ceremony, at the opening ceremony or at any global platform, I actually wanted to fly the Bangladesh flag high. And that was always a dream for me, taking that pride in, to fly that flag. And so, getting back to the story, I wanted to be an environmentalist, right? And from a young age, I had this definition towards nature, and I wanted to help people through nature as well. And it was from a very young age because, as you can see, this is me when I was really young. That's my mom. I'm dressed up as a tree at an event, so you can see it comes from a very young age. But then again, being an environmentalist is not easy, especially in a society like Bangladesh, right? When I was in school, got taunted a lot. Hey, he's gonna be a farmer when he grows up. In high school, people would be like, dude's not gonna get a girlfriend, he's gonna date a tree. I used to get that a lot as well. Even parents would come up to my own parents and be like, environmentalists don't earn that much money. It's not a good career to chase, But my parents were always very supportive. They would come up to me, they would see me sad because I would be taunted every now and then. They would see me sad and they would be like, do whatever you want because as long as you believe in what you do, nobody can stop you out there in the world. So that's what I started doing. Being an environmentalist from a young age, I started writing a lot about the environment on newspapers, articles. I started taking part in different campaigns, different protests, etc. And somehow, in 2012, I landed the role of Bangladesh's youth ambassador to the United Nations. And my first assignment was actually in Rio de Janeiro to attend the Earth Summit. So that's me. I know you can't recognize me because I don't have the beard right there. So that was actually my first assignment. And this is actually where my story starts. At this summit, I met this lady, a Brazilian lady, and we were chatting. And during our introduction, she asked me where I was from. And when I said Bangladesh, she was like, oh, where is that? And that kind of infuriated me, right? That why wouldn't she know where my country is? And that got me thinking that since I'm being able to represent my country at an international stage on a regular basis right now, why don't I come up with something where I can introduce my country to the rest of the world? So I actually decided to create a magazine. It was called Born to Smile, where I would highlight 7 of the most promising youth organizations working in Bangladesh, and I would use them as a gateway to introduce Bangladesh to the world through the work of the young generation out there. And started working on this in 2012. And while working on this, I was like going to these different summits, different conferences, giving out these magazines to like different people out there. And in 2013, I received an email, and that email blew my mind. The former Vice President of the United States, Al Gore, emailed me because he heard about this initiative of mine and invited me to Chicago for a week to be trained on climate leadership. So I fly over there, obviously nervous because if you're an environmentalist or in the environment sector, Al Gore is somebody you definitely look up to. So this is me with him. I'm actually really nervous. That's the magazine. So here's a story. While working on this magazine, what happened was I was getting to see firsthand what these young organizations were doing, like Jago, One Degree Initiative, Agro, etc. And it kind of like, inspired me that I wanted to do something on my own as well. But I never had that much courage because, yes, I did want to start my own organization when I would be like 40 or something. But right now, didn't have enough courage. But attending this summit, being under the mentorship of Al Gore, in that week, gave me that courage to come back home, go back to school, call a bunch of friends in the canteen and be like, hey guys, I think we should start an organization. And that's how Footsteps started, with these bunch of people right here. So this was back in 2013. Our first campaign was actually a winter campaign. And we were like, okay, we're gonna collect all these blankets, winter aid, and go to the northern district. How hard can it get? But then when we actually went to the north, we understood how big that problem was. When we were distributing, people would fight over the distribution. And no matter how much blankets you have, there would always be more people coming in. And we actually had to run away from that village. So our first event was actually a failure in terms of impact. And that got us to realize that by doing campaigns like this, are we solving a problem or are we contributing to a bigger problem by making these people dependent on us? And that's when we started thinking from a different perspective, that instead of just giving out aid and making people dependent on us, we should work on community empowerment models so that they don't have to depend on aid any longer. And for the next 2 years, we started working on ground, asking people. We used to make documentaries, conduct research, asking people, what is the biggest problem you see in your society? How do you think you can solve them? And throughout those data, what happened is that we started understanding that these are the type of projects that we can do in terms of community empowerment. How do we sustain a solution itself? And in the middle, I remember at a point, right after graduating high school, I found that there was a need that I needed to broaden my vision. So I decided that I would be going abroad for my higher studies. So when I was applying for colleges, my dream school was actually UC Berkeley. Everybody knows Berkeley, right? Over here. Yeah. And I also applied, and my backup school was like Penn State, Purdue, etc. And with my grades, Berkeley is very demanding. You don't usually get in. So with my grades, I was like, nah, probably not gonna get in. And I really wanted to get in because Berkeley was basically the university for building entrepreneurs and people with ideas, right? And then I applied with no hope of getting in, and this showed up in my mail. So, got into Berkeley in 2015, and I cried for 10 minutes after seeing this. And I actually got rejected by NYU, UCLA, so getting this after that, it was an emotional experience. And my heart was set that I was going to go to California for my higher studies. But then as the days went by, reality kicked in. Berkeley's expensive, especially for somebody who's a Bangladeshi out there, right? So that's when I had to take the very difficult decision that I had to choose between my dream school, which was Berkeley, and my backup school, which was Penn State. And I decided to go to Penn State instead. And it was very scary for me. Why? Because Penn State is a massive school, and there are people from all backgrounds that goes over there, and I'd be a small fish in a big pond. But then I realized that's a big challenge. Why don't I take it head on? So I went to Penn State, 2015. I go in, I start, studying, researching, or like talking to people, doing anything and everything that I thought would help me learn more, which I can use when I come back home. Try to learn anything and everything possible that would help Bangladesh out. And everybody in the university knew about it as well. I became that guy who was learning everything, but going back at the end of the day. And I remember at this interview as well, my dean literally told in this interview where she was like, I don't think Shah ever slept in college. Because I was always working, trying to find out. I would work on my university homeworks and assignments till like 8 p.m. And then after 8 p.m. I would start working on footsteps. So that's how 3 years went by for me. And during my graduation night, on the day of graduation, I made a promise to myself. The promise was that with whatever I've learned over here, I'll use everything and anything possible to make Bangladesh a better place, and one day, hopefully, come back to this university and talk about my journey. So this happened actually 2 months ago. I was invited back to Penn State to give the opening freshman speech and the opening week in front of like 1,000 people, mostly parents over there. And it was like homecoming for me, first time going back after December 2018. So I graduated after December 2018, and I go back. And I come back to Bangladesh, start working on footsteps full time. But in the middle, something happened. You saw all my co-founders, right? My core team. We started very young. So in the middle in 2016, they all decided to leave because they had their own dreams to chase. But I was hell-bent on chasing this dream of mine of helping people becoming better and making Bangladesh a better place for all. So I stuck by that. And I kept working. It was emotional because they left and I thought like this was the end. But I didn't give up. And then more people came in who shared the same belief. And that's where we are today, right now. So chasing behind the dream of footsteps has not been easy. As you can see, this is me actually servicing one of the water filters that we set up in Dhaka, where at times you also have to get on the ground and do the dirty work as well, right? This was a moment where our servicing team wasn't available. They were doing work in somewhere outside on the northern part of Dhaka, and I had to go down there to do it myself. And this would be me going on ground, sharing the story of footsteps, showing the work of footsteps everywhere that we went. This is actually in Corel, where we set up a water system for over 250 kids, and it's been running there since 2018. So we've been working for the last, 9 years right now, since 2013. And as of today, we're working in 32 districts across Bangladesh, impacting over 318,000 people on a daily basis. And it's because we did not give up on this dream, right? A lot of people said in the beginning that this will go nowhere. You guys will stop at a point. You guys are very young. You guys are just high schoolers. But I was like, nah, I'm pretty stubborn. I'll go where my dream takes me. So remember in the beginning when I said that my second dream was to fly the Bangladesh flag, right? Hey, I couldn't be an Olympic athlete, but last month something happened. I was invited to the One Young World Summit in Manchester, and in that summit I was actually chosen as the flag bearer for Bangladesh. And in front of 2,000 people, that's me, flying the flag and kissing the flag. And you can see that, that's actually Prince Harry right over there, and that's Meghan Markle. The journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. Having that courage to take that first step is on you. The moral of my story is the dream that you chase is gonna be an adventure, a road that's less taken. But it's up to you to decide whether you want that fulfillment of chasing that journey of yours and not giving up. It's all about grit. But trust me, at the end of the day, every day during the beginning, you're gonna doubt a bit that what's gonna happen. Is it worth chasing this dream of mine? I'm gonna say yes. You are defined by what you're willing to struggle for. I am willing to struggle for this flag. I'm willing to struggle for the people that is represented by this flag. Now you decide what you decide to struggle for, what you decide to dream for. The journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step, and that single step begins with your dream. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.